I felt like playing some music today, but I'm not going to play some music today because we're now in tier 3. London's in tier 3. We're in tier 3. And I'm late, and I'm going to blame. Should I blame my guest? No, I won't blame my guest. It's just how life is at the moment. It really, really is. So firstly, good day, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, howdy doody, to everyone around the world. Whatever time you start to watch this, whatever time, wherever you are, I'm sending out positive affirmations to you all. How are you doing? My normal phrase, how are you all doing? I've had some wonderful messages in the last few weeks, and I just want to say thank you to people who have been watching. I'm going to keep it very positive. It doesn't matter about detractors. So I'm going to keep it so positive, because this is what we're trying to do, is build positivity in the world today. We're having our mental health is being attacked from every angle. With the next lockdown, people are losing their jobs. So I'm going to start with this before I bring my very, very funny, warm, I find her so charming guest. And I just want to start with this, which is, as I said, positivity to everybody. People, I've heard so much stories of people losing their homes, losing their jobs. And even when they've got a job, come back, they've lost the job again. I just want to send out positive information just to keep the faith, keep the faith, keep the faith, stay safe, stay safe. If you don't believe that there is corona, just at least stay safe. To people who have lost loved ones, I want to say to you that it's hard. And I'm talking from a very personal standpoint. I wish I knew the words to say. I wish I knew how to portray how scary the thought of losing a loved one and when it really does happen. So I'm just trying to put a positive spin. All is not lost. Just please keep the faith, because that's the only thing that's going to get us through this COVID, this time of our lives right now. It's not all about going out. It's really all about the affirmations in ourselves and how can we move forward and do better and make things better and understand that these are really troubling times. And if you're finding that you're struggling, because I did struggle. I struggled in the first part of lockdown. We're now in the lockdown 3. So I'm able to cope this time round, even though I'm 10 stones fatter. And that's a whole different story matter. But the fact is that some of us are still trying to hold on to some form of normality of eating and getting that, exercising and walking and doing all sorts of things. But as I said, you know what to do. Don't lose hope and don't lose faith. So let me bring it back to the show before I lose people and I'm going on about COVID, because that's not what you want to hear. I know you don't want to hear about it because people are, to be honest, it's scary. So I know you don't want to hear about it. But anyway, welcome to today's show. And I've got the wonderful Debbie Allen, the author, the activist for Black Lives Matter. She actually works in one of the political parties, but I'll let her tell you all about that herself. This is a woman who's a mom who does so much for her community. And, when I read her book, I'm going to divulge into that a bit later on. I was so impressed that I had no choice but to have her on my show, which is called Standing in My Truth. And I can see her in the green room, still tapping away on her phone. How this woman puts all this work that she does, working for the Labour Party and all these different, councillors and directors. But I'm thanking her today for coming on our show. I'm going to bring her in. None other than Debbie Allen, the wonderful Debbie Allen. Please give a roar for her right now.
Good evening. Thank you so much.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Let me take full responsibility. We're late because of me. sharing the wrong link and then having to send out that link to everybody. So thank you very much, and good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. You know, this Zoom world has got us pulled left, right, and centre, and you could be anywhere but here. So if you're here, thank
absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. No, thank you so much for coming on. And you know, it's funny. You know, I've known you for a while. I've watched you. There's days that you've cheered me up, I must admit, early hours of the morning. I'm thinking, why is this woman up? But you know, you got someone here trying to say hi, Debbie. Your friend Alison Woods in the chat room. Please send her a big hi. Yeah. You've got friends popping into the chat room very shortly. I think you should be able to see them at some point.
Thank you.
You're welcome. But Debbie, I got you on the show because, as I said, there's mornings that I've woken up and you've cheered me up. You've always kept it real. You're an articulate lady, I should say empress woman, very articulate. And you just know, you keep, as I said, when I say keep it real, it's like there's days where no matter how you're feeling, you will just say. And you're not hiding because you know you're a woman of culture and you don't, it's not that you don't care. It's that's how you express your story. That's how you express yourself. And for me, I resonate with that. And I know you resonate with a lot of people that you've worked with in your community. So I want to know more about you. And this is why the show is called Standing in My Truth. And it's all about you. So I'm telling you what I brought you here. I now want people to know what I found out and get to know you too. Debbie Allen, please introduce yourself to Cyber World.
Thank you. Okay. Debbie was born in Harlesden, Church Road. I grew up Church Road, and my dad used to call me Semai. That was his pet name for me, and my mum used to call me Olive. So we now, from a very young age, I was going to be a confused person. Oh my gosh, it was.
I hate that you're static. You're still a little bit static.
It was a wonderful community. We had a Jamaican couple living above us, and with an Irish couple living underneath us. And I remember the men used to go out drinking on a Friday night, and they would come back drunk and fight with their partners. And somebody's actually phoning. Can you believe that? Counselor.
You see, this is what happens when you're so busy. Can you?
Hello, Counselor. I'm sorry, but I'm live on the radio. So can I come back to you, please? Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
When I tell you, folks, that this girl is hilarious,
sorry.
Do not let her title fool you. She's going to have you stitches. No guest of mine has ever come on and go, oh my God, the counsellor's on the phone. I'm sorry, hello, counsellor. We
never answer the phone. Yeah, and wagwan and whatever. We were well brought up by Miss Joyce, my mum, and you know she was always very speaky spokey. Getting back to will I have a job tomorrow? Oh my God, hold on. Right. So Church Road.
Let's go back to it. Let me take you back. Where were you born in Harlesden? And your parents Jamaican, is that correct?
Yeah. They're from Clarendon in Jamaica. That's the way you pronounce it.
Yeah, Clarendon.
Yeah, Clarendon. And so my parents broke up when I was very young. We lived in Stonebridge for a while. Then we moved to Cricklewood. Then we moved around a lot. So one thing I knew that I wanted to get married and I wanted to have a house, and I was going to never leave that home, that my children were going to have stability. And by the grace of God, I've actually been here for over 20 years. So,
Okay,
you know,
stick a
just
pin
trying
in that. We're gonna come to that. Stick a pin right there.
yeah.
Okay. You're now here. You know, you've grown up in Stonebridge. We'll come to the marriage a little bit later, and your children. Why you wanted to live here and have this house. Okay. School. So you've moved around a lot, and you know, as you said, you're schooling, etc. What was your school like? You know, what did you decide you wanted to do when you were like, you know, in your teenage years? What did you want to do? What was it you thought you wanted to do?
I always wanted to be a secretary part-time, and
Really?
I wanted to be a wife. That's all I wanted to be. I
Really?
was always
Why?
in Mills and Boone. I just wanted to be married, have children, and work part-time, so make use of my qualifications. That was always in my head, that I'm not going to be totally stay at home, because I saw my mother work how many jobs, and she used to take us to work with us. You know, if she couldn't get anyone to babysit, we would be at work with her. And funnily enough, I've done the same with my children as well, because
Don't go there. No, no, we'll come to that. I don't want you to give it. You don't give up too much.
yeah. So school. I think I pretty much sailed through it because of my love of reading. Where, you know, I was a loner. People would always find me in the corner, some reading a book. I loved reading. I think I always questioned the teachers. I remember an incident in home economics when we had to cook tea or something we ate at home, and I
Right.
done salt mackerel and dumpling, and there was an argument with the teacher about what was like. This is what we eat at home, and
Yeah.
I was downgraded because I didn't do a typical, I don't know,
Like
roast
sandwich.
and yeah. So
That's hilarious.
yeah.
I can actually imagine you doing that, actually, like really challenging the teacher. Says, I'm sorry, that's not what I ate at school.
Yeah.
That's not what I eat at home. So why are you telling me about tea?
Yeah. And it's so funny because of Black Lives Matter and everything that's coming out now. People are exploring different foods, but back then it was very much English. And my mum, from the first generation, very much gave up her culture because she wanted to fit in. You know, this was our country. She had come back to the motherland, and you know, like I said, it was a very English upbringing in our mannerisms and whatever. But we did eat cultural food. We had a mixture. We had Caribbean, and typically that's what I cooked at school because, you know, I don't remember the meat and two veg when I was growing up, although we had the fish and chips, you know, so I cooked what the teachers told me, no,
What to do? Yeah.
You know, we have a conversation.
Let me stop you there for a second. I don't know if it, as I said, there is definitely really bad static. So, you know, I can see, I seem straight, but you know, it's, I don't know if anybody else can tell me out there. It'd be really good because I can watch it, I can see it.
If I hold it, I don't know if that's any better.
Yeah, I think it's a Wi-Fi thing. See, I can see what you're right. Your Wi-Fi is just kicked back in again. So I do apologize. You know, the world has gone into lockdown. So unfortunately, static is what we're all getting. You know, I'm wishing for the day that we come out of lockdown that I can have all my guests in front of me and interview them. But it doesn't matter. The main thing is that you sound perfect. So don't hold anything. Just stay right there where you are and express yourself. And I'm sure people will get the gist of it. Do you understand? It's really all about what you're trying to say. And we're just going to leave it up to God and the energy that this is what, you know, we're telling your story. That's the way we'll deal with it. And you still look lovely. So, you know, can I ask you a question? So when you said that you was at school and, you know, let me go back. Let me say this again. You were saying that your mother wanted to fit in. Is that what you saw? You found that your parents tried to live the British way.
Yeah,
In
yeah.
how so? Why'd you say that?
I in the way which was funny actually, because my mum, she never lost her Jamaican accent or the way she spoke to us, and we didn't understand a lot of the sentences she used to say. But let the house phone ring, and it was always hi, hello, and what.
Speaky
Just talk like
spokey.
that. Yeah, speaking spokey. Yeah.
The
Yeah,
speaky spokey. So
yeah.
she actually had. So you found that your parents and your parent, your mum used to literally try to live the English way, and you're not alone. I'll be honest with you, Debbie.
Mm,
A lot of people were like that. They
mm,
wanted us to have the British tradition. Even if you were born here, our folks wanted us to have that. So
mm,
I'm glad that they did, because I think that's what kind of it makes us solid people. Does that make sense?
mm,
It makes you be able to. I always say that um, because of the upbringing of having a bit of the West Indies and a bit of the English,
mm,
it carved out how I could live and have a British way of living. It doesn't
mm,
mean that I've lost my ethnicity. Do you understand?
mm,
But it still allows me to don't mind the British way of thinking or doing the British things, but I
mm.
don't lose my culture. I don't lose
Yeah,
sight of who I am. So I
yeah.
get that. All right, here you are. This is what you decided to do. I can't believe you wanted to be a secretary. But if I was to ask that to a lot of women of our age group back then, do you believe that
Mm.
they would have said the same thing?
I think a lot of people wanted to be nurses. Do you know, we had a very horrible geography teacher that used to put us down. So I did see the ambition in my peers, because every time we went into his class, he would say something like, "Oh, you girls from down there, you're gonna push buggy. That's all you're good for." So
Really?
because we came from a certain housing estate, this man said this every lesson. And I remember when speaking to the careers officer and saying that I wanted to be a secretary, it was like I was being rooted to, oh, maybe you want to do nursing, or, but I always wanted to be a secretary or own a florist shop. I don't know why a florist shop, but I did do a floral arranging course. But yeah, they didn't really push us and in fact, my cousin Carol had to come down and have a talk. Back in the day, it was normal for this kind of behavior. Oh God.
I'm
And
curious what you're going to say.
because I passed my CSE English and I got a grade 1, and I thought, oh, okay, I'm going to be doing A levels. But they said to me, no, 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 you'll be doing O levels. And I went home and I thought, no, I'm sure I'm supposed to be doing A levels now. Went back home, spoke with my cousin, who came down, and she told the teacher, she told the teacher, this is what I'll say. She told the teacher, she didn't mince her words about you should be encouraging it and, raising her aspirations, blah, blah, blah. And well, they stood their ground because they could back then. These days,
So
I think they
basically,
probably help you give your way in, but yeah,
so they found a way to keep you back rather than.
yeah. Back then, yeah,
That's awful. I swear to God, that is
yeah,
awful. And
yeah.
it's scary to think that, again, women that of our age, that back then, the things that we are having to now do at a later stage of life
Mm-hmm.
to find out what we are capable of,
Yeah.
when if
Find
we
your
were
talent.
pushed, yeah, if we
Yeah,
were given the opportunities
yeah.
back then, could you imagine?
It would be too much. It, it,
Why
it
do you
would it
say
would
that?
be too much.
Why do you
So I Okay, what do I mean when I say
Yeah,
that?
why do you say that?
We are phenomenal. This is what I'm learning now. We are phenomenal. And back then, because there wasn't diversity, there
Okay,
was just
amen.
you're different. Yeah.
Okay.
And I think the way I don't know how Caribbean people were perceived, but I don't think we were perceived as being studious. And definitely if you came from Stonebridge, you went, from my experience, you know, being, oh, that geography teach every day, every
It sounds
lesson.
like it
Yeah,
really stuck with you because it's
yeah,
like every time you think of that geography teacher,
yeah,
it kind of sets you back. So
yeah,
you're saying that that has played that, okay. So we're talking about mental awareness and mental,
yeah,
our mental well-being. That
yeah,
has stigmatized you from the day that he told you that all you're going to be doing is pushing a buggy.
yeah,
Do you understand?
yeah.
And when I'm looking at you and I'm hearing you speak, and 3 times you've said that, and it's like you
And
can't let it go.
I would say it even more. I'm aware of it. It caused confusion in my head. So it definitely affected me. And I've
I,
spoken
I
to
could tell.
some of my classmates. Some of them have managed to laugh it off. Some of them thought it was reverse psychology, but I just thought it was cruel because here is a role model, a black teacher. It was a black
Whoa!
teacher that did that,
Wow.
and it was and he was, so it starts this Jamaican African thing. Bad enough that you know you're insulting
I can't even speak. Sorry.
mainly Caribbean girls, but
Okay.
yeah, yeah,
Okay. So here's this teacher who has looked at another woman of color, a child of
we
color,
were girls. We
a
were
black
kids.
child. You were
Yeah,
children. He
yeah,
should have been an inspiration.
yeah,
He should have been an aspirer
yeah,
to your own culture and not stigmatize them.
yeah.
I'm shocked at that. I'm not going to lie. And I've got anyone that ever watches this now or in the past, I'm saying it. Do you understand? That is disgraceful. And I don't mean to,
Mm,
God forgive me for what I'm going to say, because I try not to do the black and white thing, but I
mm,
expect that from a white teacher,
mm.
not a black teacher. I can't be
He
mortified.
was different.
Sorry?
He was different. He was just
What different? Let me tell you what what he was trying to do. He was doing the British way, darling. I don't know if that helps you. All he was trying to do was be the British way, Debbie.
mm,
Do you
mm,
understand? And I'm really sad that his words of a man that is in a position of power left words to this day that is, still stigmatizes you.
yeah,
But I'm going to say
yeah.
this to you. Let me tell you something as well. Okay, I'm going to go back to your interview because I'm going to say this so you can talk with passion, right? If that man did not say that to you, and it's not reverse psychology, I know your friends say that.
Mm.
Do you think you'd be where you are right now?
Oh gosh, do you know? I don't think I set the bar high for myself. All I wanted to
Yeah.
be was married, work part time, and be a mum. So whether I could have been a manager earlier in my life or started my own business a lot earlier in my life, who knows? But I just say that everything in time, and
That's
sometimes
right.
you can rush for things to happen
Yeah.
before time when people are
Yeah.
not ready, when you're really not ready,
Yeah.
and then you get thrown off. So from school, um, oh, yeah, school, then college. At school, I was a newspaper, so I used to do a newspaper round for Martin's in Cricklewood. That's when we were living in Cricklewood. We lived in Cricklewood, I don't know if it was 3 to 5 years. And then I went to college to study French and Spanish because I wanted to be an interpreter, and I done business. And I worked along at Brent Cross Shopping Centre as a sales assistant whilst I was at college. So always had this work ethic from day one. I was born to work. And I think I had 2 jobs through college, cleaning and sales assistant. And I met my ex-husband at Brent Cross. And those are really...
So let's do that then. Let's do this then. Let's do this. When did you decide, when did you settle down? So when when did you settle down? Because I'm going to show you something. But go on. Tell me, when did you settle down?
Listen, in my head, I settled down at 18 years old, but I didn't get it. But and in my head, I'm still settled down.
So as far as you're concerned, from the time you left school, you were settled down. You just want to get married. You don't care. You didn't care how that happened. You were just going to get married, right?
Yeah, because we were living in Stonebridge, and he was like, "We're not getting married till we move out of here." And that's not fair. How are we going to move out of Stonebridge? It was a council flat. But I took on the extra jobs, and we got married, and we moved out of there.
So okay, what year? When did you get married? Do you remember the day?
All I know was the 15th of October, and the reason I remember that was because the week before, the park where we went to take pictures, they'd taken ours away. So
this is you.
It's always got lovely flowers. Oh, thank you. That park, it always has lovely flowers, and I was just thinking about the expense of having flowers. It's like, yeah, we'll be here, we'll be in this area, we'll take pictures, and it was a beautiful park. Only the week that we rocked up with the wedding gang and everything, the flowers were gone.
Taking the flowers.
Yeah, because they turned the soil and everything, and it was kind of like we turned up, like, where's the flowers? Where's everything? Had an abundance of flowers. Yeah,
I'm so sorry to hear that. So you had your and then you got married.
Maybe that was a, what do they call it? Of voting for Alison needs to help me with the word.
That was the omen.
What happened?
You got married.
We had a beautiful honeymoon.
You look so beautiful. You look so beautiful.
Thank you.
You got married, and you've had, you've got, how many children do you have? 3? Is it 3?
Oh, I can't disclose. Okay,
that. We won't disclose. You had children.
They won't believe me anyway.
Yeah, so we won't get. You had children. You got married. You got children, and what job did you go into? Because you're married. You got all these. You got your children, and you've still got to cope. And how many jobs were you still running at that time?
I was working full-time at local authority. I used to go cleaning with my mum after work, and sometimes I do night work for a telephone company in Vauxhall. Don't ask me how I done it. It was just like, it's like, how did you have so many jobs and go giving out tracts at the weekend? Giving out tracts at the weekend.
Girl, I don't know how you do it. I'm not going to lie. How do you manage to have so many jobs? But here you are today, and this is where we're going to keep telling the story. So you've got this, how many different jobs? You're married. Did you still have the aspirations of what you're, to write, to keep writing, or the florist? And what was still the agenda that was still pushing through this marriage?
It was just, oh my God, after that, aspirations to write definitely went on the burner. it was about having a car every other year and going on holiday 4 times a year. It was just, and that really wasn't my aspiration. But in order to keep the home and husband happy, we I think we worked hard and we played hard. So
Okay.
yeah, and
But I know that you came to a point, and again, this is your story, and I know your story, and I don't have to. So as I said, it's standing in your own truth. But at some point, your marriage broke down,
yeah,
and
yeah.
you said, hey, what would you say was the devastating effect? Because you've always wanted, because you've said in the beginning, I want to be married, I want to be have a nice house, I want to have a good job. Did that bubble burst? Is
It
everything
did.
that
Oh
you
my God!
what you
It did.
envisaged?
It burst. That I was the dutiful wife, sorting through my husband's ex-husband's suits to go to the dry cleaners. This is what my life was like, you know. Going to work, lunchtime, dropping suits to the dry cleaners, after work, picking it up, then going home, cooking, going to work. And somewhere in between all of that, I was doing a degree as well. So we'll talk
What
about
was the degree? Degree of what? What was the degree?
business degree, and we'll talk about
Fantastic.
the fight to get funding for that. But yeah, I was going through his suits, found a letter from somebody, a lady who was over familiar. Oh, I'm being so diplomatic. Anyway, I went
Talk
and
your
spoke
truth,
with,
Debbie. Talk your truth.
I went and spoke with my neighbor. I spoke with a work colleague about what to do. And I don't think I told my sister because I was so embarrassed. But and I was also pregnant as well, so it was like a double whammy. And you know, got in contact with the lady, arranged to meet her to have a talk about, you know, what was going on. And the lady did come to meet me as arranged. It was my husband that turned up asking me what I was doing there. And then before you know what was going on, we were having a little tangle on Greenford, Greenford Road. And
So she
after
contacted
that,
your
I
husband.
had my baby. I say my baby because he went back to his mum, and we tried to reconcile, but for me it was never the same. I couldn't trust him after that. I couldn't understand love, and I also had an affair because I wanted to see, can you really love somebody and do that? And that affair was more for my ego, you know, just to know that I was attractive and, you know, somebody wanted me. But I felt kind of lost for many years because all I ever wanted to be was a wife, a mum, have a happy home. And that really destroyed me. I was a very, very bitter person. I was a horrible person. But
I'm
you
so
know,
sorry to
I
hear
was,
that.
yeah, yeah. And
How many years were you married? How many years?
oh gosh, we were together 17, 18 years. So
Did he ever explain why he felt the need? Again, this is your
no,
story.
I think some men have this thing of I love you, but I'm gonna dip out. So it's nothing. She meant nothing. But you know, when I spoke to this woman, she cried down the phone about I didn't know he was married, and I thought, oh my God, my husband done that to her. I felt sorry for her instead of feeling sorry for my world that was crying. So yeah, it was just. But
That's
how
hard.
did I don't know how I found myself after that. I think I was just going through the motions for many years, and then I think one day you wake up and it's just let me do what I want to do. And so I started organizing family holidays and also holidays on my own. Um, took up maybe yoga and pole dancing and horse riding
Which is what I was going to
and
ask you. Is that why you started the
all
pole
of that.
dance?
I don't know if it was revenge or just let me do me, let me just anger. And I'd also changed jobs. I was a manager somewhere else, and the roles were very pressured. So it was kind of like working hard and then physically working out hard, so that for me it was just some kind of balance, and
So,
it
I mean,
worked.
you mentioned that you did things like pole dancing, because that was one of the things that, again, I saw through social media, you know, and I get thinking, wow, this woman's brave, because people associate a pole within, you know, we're talking now, people associate pole dancing with the sex industry. Does that make sense? So,
Yes, of
you
course,
know,
of course.
yeah, they
Yeah.
associate it with that. So here you are doing this you know, it let me listen, I've never tried it, but it's not easy. And I've stood against a pole just mucking about in a club,
I'm trying to
and
lift up
and
yourself.
just tried to hold on, and you slide down. I give you,
Yeah.
yeah, let me just bow right now that anyone who's seen Debbie Allen pole dancing or just exercising on the pole, because it became a thing, then it didn't it, as
Yeah.
exercising
Yeah.
on the
Yeah.
pole.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
do
But for
you think,
me, that was
why
my.
were you?
I think I was curious, and I was curious to find out what men found attractive about pole dancing. And I tell you what, I was dating somebody then, and I would say, let's go to a. I would be pushing him to go to a pole dancing club because I wanted to see these ladies. I wanted to see the environment and the men. I wanted to see why men were interested in it. And then, I'd watch these ladies doing awesome gymnastics, and I'd be nudging him, saying, "Put a fiver in the cup. Put a fiver." Some of the men would only put in £1 or £2, and I'm like, do you know what she's just done? She's done acrobatics and gymnastics and whatnot. So yeah,
I
it was
just
just
found you, I just thought, wow. Then I saw you
yeah,
doing all this horse riding and
yeah.
just all sorts, just all sorts. So what you're trying to tell me really was you were experimenting. You were
And
just,
exploring.
would you
I
say
was
actually
going off the
not
rails
acting out?
because I think I'd been quite a good girl. I didn't upset my mum too much. I didn't have madness through my teens. I didn't never done drinking drugs or anything like that. So and the one time I tried to be a criminal, it didn't work. So
She did
yeah,
the one time she tried to be a
yeah,
criminal. It did.
yeah. You know when you're not cut out. You're not cut out to do the bad thing. So,
Thank you, Jesus.
but
She
you
did
know what?
become a
Stick
criminal.
giving out tracks. So yeah,
So here you are. It's played. You've already had the trauma of a teacher who should, as a male model for once, stigmatized with words. You've then had your own dream, which is to be this wonderful housewife, be a provider, have children, have everything at home,
mm,
only for the male aspirer in school to almost burst your bubble. But it didn't
yeah,
stop you from going on and doing a business degree.
yeah,
And then you've met someone who you deeply adore, you deeply love, only for
yeah,
him to second guess yourself
mm,
and again break the bubble of that you were building for yourself.
mm,
No matter what you were doing it for that bubble and the love.
mm.
You've let go all of that. And my question to you is, how did you get to, because you're on a different ground, you're on a different journey right now. What brought you to this journey? What was the straw that broke the camel's back? is what I
Do you
should say.
know? Oh my God, a meltdown. And oh, actually, it's still traumatic. It's in this about to go to print.
Okay.
I've experienced racism and sexism, and for the most part, I think I've been able to navigate it, challenge it, and you get your hush money and talk about it. But I had one experience where somebody was coming in to arriving at work before me and leaving feces and banana skins around the place, and it was my role to do checks around the building. And this was happening so often that it became the norm. But on one occasion, somebody left a lump of poo on top of a hand towel on top of a closed toilet seat lid. And I took a photo off and sent it to the trustees, and I said, this is what I come into. Why have you not got CCTV and stuff like that? And a short time after that, I had to take time off work and kind of deal with racism, the levels that people go to. And it wasn't just the feces and banana skin, it was kind of like breaking into the petty cash, and that fell under my remit. And I was just scared that, oh my God, I'm black, they're gonna think I'm stealing money. Da, 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 da. So I'd be walking around with the people's money in my handbag, and it was so strange, because when I brought that home and be talking about my day, my son would be like, why don't you leave? Why don't you leave? Or my daughter would be like, you're the manager, can't you do anything? And it was kind of like, when you have a title, but I didn't feel like I had the power to do it because I was reporting these things and nothing was being done. So what I thought, the law hasn't protected me, so I have to be amongst people that will make make that make that give me the power or something. I don't know. I prayed on it, and I joined West London. Actually, I joined the Labour Party first, and then I was nominated as BAME officer. Well, there wasn't much choice really. That was a funny one. It was kind of like there was no other choice.
I'm not saying anything. I'll come back to that.
Hinting at the lack of diversity.
Right. Yeah. So, I'm gonna just okay.
And then they would send me to different places, different boroughs, Hendon and other, to attend meetings. And at one meeting, I think I made an impact, and they invited me back, and ended up joining Stand Up to Racism and doing events and meetings with them, and being promoted to become their co-convener, and partnering with.
So what did you do? So when you went to these meetings, were you going there as an inspirational speaker and talking about your incident?
Always giving the black perspective, which
right.
It's funny that I think, wow, I've been in the UK all these years. How do you not know that this is what black people go through? Even what was a shock to me, where I live now, it's quite a residential area because we moved out of Stonebridge, and I've been here for almost 20 years. And I even had to take a neighbour about 5 doors away to court for letting their dog. So there's always been this thing about poo, which I can't get my head around. But anyway, we went to court. This man was trying to talk about, I'll control the dog, this, that, whatever. And I just said to the judge, I'm all in this country and I'm not going to put up with it. I worked 3 jobs to live here in peace without people letting their dogs foul. and that's how I got an injunction on that neighbor. But back to Black Lives Matter and Stand Up to Racism, we've collaborated on, oh, I don't know, it feels like 9, but my colleagues tell me that it's more. 9 events that we've done, and we open up the platform for people in the community to talk their truth as well. And there's a housing officer who reported a tenant that they had who, you know, people are posting feces through the letterbox. And that shocked me because I thought 2020, what has changed? You know, so racism is definitely
That happened a
alive.
long time ago. That was something that happened in my parents when they came to the
You know, this is what, that's what my brain, you know, that we're doing these rallies, and are they about work? Are they about experiences people having, you know, a shop, you know, where they're being followed or whatever? But this was a Somalian woman, you know, experiencing that. Oh, and back to the work thing. I spoke with my pastor, and she said, she encouraged me to report it to the police. She said that's a hate crime, you know, because there were a number of other things going on, you know, the way the person was talking to me. I'd be listening to music. He'd say, oh, what's that monkey music you're listening to? Blah, blah, blah. So I reported it to the police. And do you know, I couldn't find a local station that was open.
because they've shut
And
down.
they've shut them down. And I drove left, right, and I just couldn't find a police station. Couldn't find one in Kilburn, Willesden, or Harlesden that was open. And something in me just said, you know, this is the day that you're going to report it, because you've endured it long enough. And I ended up in Charing Cross. And you know what it's like to report this incident. And I just drove, and I said, God, you're going to take control. And do you know how hard it is to get parking in London?
In the West End,
And
yeah.
this was before congestion charge and everything. And I found there was a parking space 2 roads away from the police station. So I went in, and it seemed like the lady on the front desk didn't want to take the concern. So I said to her, do you have any leaflets about reporting hate crime? And she was abrupt and she was rude. And I was quite calm. It's okay. I said, I took her number and her name, wrote it. So I must have looked like a loopy person sitting there with a notepad just writing. And I think maybe I'd been waiting over 20 minutes, and a black officer came in, and I just hailed him and I said, can I have a word with you? And I explained to him how far I'd come. Let's say I'd come from Wembley, driven all the way from Wembley, because I couldn't find a local station that was open for some reason on that day. I don't even know if it was a bank holiday or something. There was something about that day where parking was free, actually.
Yeah.
So I told him the story, and he made a phone call, and within a few minutes there were 2 officers available to speak to me and take a statement. And it was a horrible experience because I wasn't feeling well anyway. They had torches shining in my face like I was the criminal, and I was so calm. I just took their names and badge numbers and everything. And when I got home, I formed an email to the, was it IPCC or something? And
yeah.
And I gave them my experience of coming there, and the fact that even after Stephen Lawrence and recommendations and whatnot, that you guys didn't even have leaflets, anyone reporting a crime. So within a few days or something, it felt like within a short time, I got a telephone call. I was asked to visit Wembley Police Station, and they'll take a statement. And once again, that's an area hard to find parking, but God blessed me that I knew people at a local church, and it was like, I'll leave the car here. Yeah. Go report it and come back and have a cup of tea with us. When I went in and I was waiting, a Somalian guy came in to report being spat at on the high street. And the officer asked him, first of all, before asking the guy his name or whatever, the officer asked the guy if he had a passport. And I woke up. Yeah, I'd just been sitting there waiting to be seen. And I said, I'm sorry, why are you asking this guy if he has a passport? Anyway, I just took his name and whatever, and just this is what I do. And I just sat down, continued writing what I observed and how they were treating people and whatever. And the officers were ever so nice to me when my interview came, went over, took statements, and there were other colleagues that came forward. And again, when I finished that interview, I sent in an email to their superiors about my experience of watching what was going on in a police station. So fast forward to 2020, it's kind of bizarre to be encouraged to, get involved with the Met, but I'm not sure. Our code kind of like, where do your loyalties lie? Is it being black, or is it being a black person working for them? But
I can't. There isn't anything to say that this is. Someone's just said that's disgraceful, typical behaviour from the Met Police, and I know that you work alongside them, but you're the voice. You're going in there now as a voice. You now work and deal with anti-racism, and so you're saying the straw that broke the camel's back. Now, these are the things that you're doing to make people aware, to make people stand up and say, "That's not acceptable. I'm not living like that anymore."
And there's so much more that goes on. I just I didn't understand why I was experiencing it, because when you think you're a nice enough person, you shouldn't be experiencing these things. And it goes back to my style of writing, trying to write a book. I was angry with the poems. I don't want to. What do I know about poems? And I want to write my truth, but that was the way it's coming out. I think it was as if my body was saying, be kind to yourself. This is the way you get it out. I don't know, Alamis Lou, Caribbean poet, well known. I wanted to write a book, given the detail, given everything. But my writings have come out as poetry, rhyming poetry.
Yeah.
And I have the pictures to me, it feels like I need the pictures to evidence, otherwise people wouldn't understand what I'm going through.
Well, I'm going to bring that up right now, actually. And how I'm going to come into that story is this: you, as I said, you're an activist, and before I show the book, when the whole incident with George Floyd, this whole standing in my truth today isn't all about George Floyd and this is about you and how you came to be this author and wrote your book of poetry. Okay, but it had to be something that triggered you to do so, and so this year has seen unprecedented, where the community of, and I'm not going to use the Black Lives Matter, because a lot of people do not like the tag because they think that it's political and they think it's attached to so many things, and I get that. So let's just say that Black Lives Matter, all lives bloody matter, but in this instance, this is what was going on. Black Lives Matter. It scared people, it didn't know where people, and it affected people's mindset. It made them uncomfortable. They didn't know what they were doing. And for the first time, people who have held onto a lot of anger over the years started to express themselves. But I don't know about you, I found that people were expressing themselves in a way that made them look like they had mental health issues. Does that make sense?
Why wouldn't we? Don't forget.
But no, that's what I'm trying to explain.
We haven't even healed from post-traumatic stress of the slave you know, and the generational curse of all of that. Why would I not be an angry black woman with mental health issues or
That's where I'm coming
anger
from.
or chip on the
Yeah.
shoulder? Now that we know more about our history, yes, of course we knew about Henry VIII, but we also, at my rallies where we talk about, you know, the UK is not innocent, you know, Sean Riggs and everybody, the number of people who have died in police custody, even the ones that have not been listed, is okay. So that's with the police side of things, but then looking at how we were packaged like sardines and reading stories about people jumping off the boat, you know, there's so much that the brain and the spirit has to try to make sense of. Why would we not be angry? Why would we not
That's what I'm
say
saying. So
enough?
that when it took George Floyd for a lot of that to manifest itself and
Mm,
come to the
mm,
surface. And
mm,
so what I'm, you know, this is what I'm saying is that people could have been perceived as having mental issues, you
mm,
know, unloading the things that they've
mm,
read, unloading, understanding that their forefathers have suffered that and they've never had a voice to say,
mm,
I don't like that. How can they not do this
mm,
to you? You know, and
mm,
so, you know, you just get labeled that,
mm,
oh, just shut up and, you know, you black people go away and shut
yeah,
up, you
yeah,
know. But the you know, there's got to be a way that we can still unload that anger, unload it in such a way that the next generation would say, okay, I get it. Let's write it down. Let's speak it out, which is what you're doing. You're
mm,
actually writing it out there. You're
mhm,
actually holding rallies that are, you know, articulated. They're not
mhm,
there with violence. They're not
yeah,
there. All they're doing
yeah,
is empowering
yeah,
the old and the young and the middle to
yeah,
come together to understand that let's not all of this happen again.
mm,
Let's do better to make sure that the next generation doesn't have to go through the whole George Floyd thing.
yeah. And
I
it
mean,
comes with educating as well, because
there you go.
I was supporting Jim for Sankofa down in Trafalgar Square, and had been writing to the mayor in support of you know, the larger event that was going on. And I got a letter back from Mr. Khan saying something about there was going to be works on Trafalgar Square, and my brain didn't even understand. You know, this man said no. All I knew was that I'd written to my local councillors and persuaded them, and to our wider group and persuaded them why Black history was important. And something said to me, you don't need to go to Trafalgar Square. You've got a park over there, hold it over there. And it just happened. Where's the flyer for that? Have I got the flyer for that event? I haven't got it near me. Yeah, and we just put and that is where Black Lives Matter, it drew the crowd, it drew the councillors who had previously been skeptic when they saw the turnout, because well, I'm always thinking about my community, and it was like, okay, such and such sells shea butter, I invite her. This person does clothes, let me invite her. And do you know, that Sankofa event, where we had Eric the Cutter Clement, well-known Splinters hairdresser and
Yes,
CEO of his
yes,
business.
yes.
He
Yeah,
came down. He spoke about hair, phenomenal stuff that I didn't know about my hair.
yeah,
He came. He spoke about hair.
yeah.
We had Mr. Ray Carlos playing music. Such a beautiful, peaceful protest that the police, they didn't even need to come out of their
Their
car
cars.
to say, you know, what's going on here. He came over and he said, "There's jerk chicken over there." I said, "Go back to the back. We'll bring you a plate." So you know, it was just, it was a day of education, and by sharing our history, Black history, people learned something that learned in school. you know, that of looking back at what's been done to us, we were we are phenomenal people. A lot of things have been stolen, a lot of truths have been hidden. I'm not going to say lies have been told. What it is, the whole truth has not been told, you know. And
it's a very
yeah,
uncomfortable
it's
subject for
uncomfortable,
people,
and
but
we're gonna have to get uncomfortable.
yeah, it is a very uncomfortable. Yeah,
Yeah.
but exactly. But there has to be a way of. I'm not asking us to dumb it down. Me of
Mm,
all people. I'm just saying
mm,
that there is no reason, and I find that the people, which I'm now coming onto your book, the people that leading up to that I've had conversations with, and I'm sure you have as well, that
mm,
we all they didn't see our color. We were just all friends. And then once
mm,
we voiced that we're angry, and they didn't know how to take they didn't have to take me.
mm,
All of a sudden I lost friends. I
mm,
had, and I kept saying, how could I not be your friend when I've done nothing wrong? All I've done is just
mm.
stood up for my truth and said, this is atrocious. You can't
Yeah,
keep treating people
yeah,
like that. It doesn't
yeah,
mean that, that my family's mixed race or whatever the case may be,
yeah,
that
yeah.
we are angry.
There's a lot of us with dual, triple heritage. So,
Trust me.
you know, I actually can't say that I don't like white people, because
Exactly.
my grandmother, I'm told, was white, and so that's why we've got different shades of people in my family. I think what it
So
is,
here,
we just we all have to learn about each other. We have to learn about
absolutely,
our differences, and of
absolutely.
course, we have to be compensated or reparated on what we've lost. We should, you know, as much as there are apologies, and this goes back to even, you know, the Windrush thing, that once there's an apology, let's fast track on how you're going to compensate, and that can start a healing process, because we need counseling. We need to understand who we are. We don't understand our greatness. Even now, I know that I'm great. I don't feel great. My writings are just, I think it was a form of healing, getting involved in activism and politics. It's a way of trying to change the system, but I don't feel great. It's just something I feel that any human should do. When you see a wrong, find a way how to be the change that you want to see.
Someone's got to do it, and that's what you
Mm,
stepped into. You decided that's what I'm going
mm.
to step into, as opposed
I think
to
God or the universe must have planned it, because I wouldn't have chosen the experiences that I've been through. I wouldn't have chosen them. You know, imagine you're going to check something and you pull the door handle and it's got feces on it, or you're checking a corridor which is away from the toilets, but there's feces. Um, Somebody's smeared it across the wall. It's like my brain's just thinking, why is there poo up here? You know, I wouldn't want to give that experience to anybody, but you know, the journey has to be for a reason, and I suppose it'll reveal itself in time. But
Well, I'm going to come to your book. Let me come
yeah,
to your book on this one. And the first one I'm going to bring up is, now, when I first saw this, please take the knee unfinished. So when I went out, I got the book, and you kindly, I said, right, I need to read this. And as you said, I thought, oh, I'm going to get this book. And what I got were these two, it came with two, and this was the first. And let me do that. Let me just take this off for a second. And it came like that. And I thought, oh, I love this. And I love the little drawing, because it was not what I expected. So let me give you my synopsis, and I'm going to say to you why I loved it. So I opened the book and I thought, oh, this is different, limited edition. And your forward was different as well. And inside, you've given us a forward, you know, who you are. And, you know, normally when someone gives a forward, it's just like little, you know, little paragraph and, you know, thank you to blah, 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 and the God Almighty and Ian Rankin and Dan blah, blah, who's written the book. But you've gone as far as saying what you do, the committees that you're involved in, how you like to be a fundraiser, and you like baking fantastic cakes, and you came familiar with, you know, Debbie as yourself, writing poetry, and so decided that, well, you know, I'm going to write these words. I'm going to come to a lady that introduced you to this as well. Let me read this, what you said. I myself, I am no poet, but totally approve the subject matter of Debbie's poems. This is what someone says. Which
This is
sprang,
Alison, she's in the chat.
don't shush you, don't, right? It springs from her heart and lived experiences. She says, I've been fighting against racism and fascism for 50 years. It was nearly 51 years ago when I became the founding president of the very first Asian youth organization in this country, the Indian Youth Federation in Gravesend, set up to oppose racist attacks by the so-called skinheads. Now, that's one of the things that you've written in your forward. It's a prefix. No one does that. But you've given kudos of why you started your book and your journey. Debbie is also known as a knack for talking to strangers at recent Black Lives Matter protests and getting them to sign up as supporters of the West London Stand Up to Racism. She said she became familiar with Debbie's poetry when she sent me a couple of poems to read, and she was very impressed with your hidden talent. And with her permission, you sent her poems to a poet friend who recently published a book of their own. And he too was very impressed and persuaded Debbie to publish this works. She signed mine for me. I don't think anyone can see it, but when I got it, I kissed it. And thank you for supporting. And I'm always going to support your love. You dedicated the book to your mum, Joyce. And thank you, Mum. And so if she does, make sure she read this part and listen. Thank you, Mum, for the times you used to tell me stories of corn sticking up in my foot. Sorry. Why? Right, I don't know. And you said, I love and I miss you, and to your children. And this is a bit that I find poignant. And to your ex-husband, you actually put your ex, and I'm going to ask you why. Do you mind sharing that?
Because as much as we divorced, I can't. Number one, my mum liked him. My mum always used to say, if you know what's good for you, go back to him, because they were old school.
Yes, but, my mum did that to me.
Yeah, he did. Just, I am grateful that he accepted my madness, because I think I was mad. What woman is holding down 2-3 jobs, trying to run a house, trying to study, trying to rave, trying to be the sexy wife? I was just trying to be so many things, maybe too much. I don't know, but we had a good marriage. We did. I enjoyed myself. He enjoyed himself. I just couldn't put up with the extra things. So, but I'm grateful that we walked down the aisle. We had children together, and he took me and my mad family on. So
I'm bowing to you, because there are women out there, not a lot, not a few. I'm just going to say there are women out there that are still angry from them broken up relationships and broken up marriages.
Yeah.
And rather than
my business. Yeah.
I
had my business years.
Exactly. I'm sure you did. And I know you did. You've spoken. But what I'm saying,
I done the waiting to exhale. When we finished tussling on group with my belly out here, I went to work. I finished my work. My colleague was, because my colleague and I had gone down there for this lunch meeting with the lady who he'd been having an affair with. We went back to work, and my colleague was like, "I don't know how you're so calm. This brain
I
is
don't either.
no. I was pregnant. I couldn't fight. I couldn't have an affair. I went home and I put laptops and suits in the big grey bin and set it on fire. That was my waiting to exhale. I didn't even put anything out on the lawn to sell. And he was so calm when he came home. He's like, "Oh, I saw the fire brigade," and I'm like, "Yeah, it's your stuff." And he's like, "But there was money. There was money in those suits, you silly woman." He was calm. You know, we did have this tempestuous, the right word, but the way he handled, because there's a lot of men that would not have handled it that way.
Yeah.
But he knew
this
he
is
done
why I
wrong.
asked you the question. This is what, well, that's why I'm asking you. And I love the fact that you, no matter what your journey was, no matter what you both had, no matter how tempestuous it was, and you had your good. And Valerie Douglas is saying some lovely things in there. Hi, Valerie.
I think she's in Jamaica. Hi, Valerie.
Jamaica. Hi, Valerie. The fact that you are writing your poetry, it's your limited edition, and you actually gave thanks to him. I'm so, thank him. Because without the experiences of what you've gone through with him, it's molded you who you are today. That's why I asked you. I wanted to hear your answer, because that's what I took from it. And it endeared me to you, is the question, is what I'm going to say. Really,
you know what it is? You can't be mad forever.
Absolutely.
You're so much lighter when you let it go.
Yeah,
because
not everyone can do that though.
No, let it go, because you're blocking your blessings, and I know that there's better out there. There's better out there. There's so much better.
Read, so for people who don't have Please Take the Knee unfinished. Let me quote the words on this. It's Please Take the Knee unfinished. I'm going to bring it back up here, and I'm going to put this up just back on the screen, because I want to just read something else again, because it's not about just George Floyd. This is how you were feeling. And again, the woman that I think, what was her name? Is it Miss Lynch? Miss Lynch? Is it Miss Lynch? There's a woman that you went with the books when you first got it. I'll bring her up in a minute as well. But this is what you said. Set your timer. We're going to kneel for Floyd. The crowd at the rally graciously stooped. Who could be annoyed? How about you, officers? Aren't you joining in? Yay. They had to. It would be a sin. Passers-by quickly knew what we were doing. All around the world, take the knee. Ensuing. I love that. I love that.
You read it so beautifully.
Did I?
And do you know that is a real lived event? We were in Hillingdon, and it was a big crowd, and these officers, they walked through the speakers, and then when it came to take the knee, I was angry, because I thought that's disrespectful, because anybody knows, well, anyone that's been raised Christian, going to the churches that I went, when you have and the audience, you don't walk through it. You walk around the back, and they just walked through. So when we took the knee, I shouted over to them, "Aren't you taking the knee?" I don't know what it was, but and they did.
This is another excerpt. Now, she's got in her book, there's loads of really great caricatures I love the drawings. You spoke about what was going on across the world, and this is poetry. This is not a book full of loads of it's real poetry written so real. It's not, oh, fancy, handwriting. It wasn't like, oh, let's use Times New, was it Times New Roman or Courier? It was exactly how you were feeling. You wrote it. You literally put it down exactly. I'm going to put another one. This is one of the ones I took out and I loved. How will anyone know if you don't talk? How can there be healing, learning, and understanding if you don't talk? Your walk, your journey, triumphs and pain. Receive your accolades and bear your shame. But it's not hurt. It's not shameful to hurt. You are human, and this alien behavior must be drawn in the dirt. Wow. To me, this is why I call my show Standing in My Truth. And when I read that, I thought, there it is. How will anyone know if you don't talk? How can there be healing, learning, and understanding if you don't talk your walk? Your journey, triumphs, and pain. Receive your accolades and bear your shame. Talk the damn talk. And this is not just about racism. This is not about George Floyd. What I took from this, you asked me my opinion, because you asked me what did I get from reading your book. It was, please take the knee. But this book can also mean take the knee in your own life as an individual. Okay? It resonates in such a way that I'm hurting and I need to address what's going on with me. Not just me. I'm talking about anybody that reads those words. And so when you spoke to me earlier and said, oh, what did you think? I felt like you were talking to me. And I think anybody else that reads that will identify with that. It felt like I knew what was going on across the world. I knew it was atrocious. But at the same time, it was saying to me, well, what are you doing about yourself? Are you actually walking in your truth? And this is not what I expected. This was not what I expected. And so I found that by the time I finished, I thought, shit, I've kind of read this in one go. I wish I knew that it was like, oh, it's a diary. So it was after a while, after I read it, I was able to go back and read different poetry, if that's what I wanted to hear today, and the bits that stuck with me. So what I'm saying to you folks is this. Her book is poetry, and it touches parts of you that would trigger. It's a trigger. Your poetry is a trigger. And I love the sincerity and the honesty in please take the knee unfinished. It is not just, for me, it was not just about George Floyd. It wasn't just about, the racial tension that we were going through. It was like you telling everyone, this is how I feel, and there's a lot that I need to bear. How do I bear it? And I'm going to bear it by writing my poetry. So
did you see Sherry's write-up?
Yes, I did. But I'll, I'm going to come back to that because I love that you're out to put the book, your bit at the back. That is so beautiful. But let's go to this, because I thought I was getting one book. So now this way, people are going to think, what? 2 books?
PG, no children in the room.
So this part that I'm coming to now, parental guidance. It is after 9 o'clock. I'm going to Jamaica. I'm going to speak Jamaican now. It is after 9 o'clock, so it is watershed time. Okay, I can now show this book. This book is called Entangled Ode to My Lover. Now, I don't know what lover you have, right? But what I love about entanglement, Entangled Ode to My Lover was, it was a daily thought. It was like that day, something's happened and you wrote about that scenario then, right there. And you didn't need to have a whole book to write about that scenario. It was just like one page. And here's this one. Let me tell you my story. Let me give you the tea. Let me give you the Black experience via poetry. I smile every time I think of the D. This is the man who set me free. I'm going to come back to that bit. He opened my chakra, Lord. He even opened my core. The only man I could lay with and not beg for more.
What does that? What does that? When they can't hit the spot, but you meet the one that can hit the spot.
Okay, let me. So I don't know if anyone got that. The bit I love, I smile every time I think of the D. I ain't gonna call that out loud, right? But that's what I thought. Oh, and it went. This is the man who set me free. I loved it because you were so honest. That I know what I tell you how it's Watershed. I just thought, yeah, she's getting the things, and it was really good, and it felt good, and it was Lord, it set her free. Oi! And it triggers. Wow, have I ever had that D that good that it made me feel so free? Do you see where I'm coming from with that? That I love. Entangled ode to my lover. I'm not going to ask you who the lover is. I'm hoping that you're going to tell me off air, because whoever it was, hey, here's another clip. I am in love with my lover. I'm in love with my crush. But we have to keep what we do on the hush hush. Yeah, I'd love something solid like a silver ring. But we're both afraid of commitment now, no matter how hard. Let me say that again. But we're both afraid of commitment, no matter how hard the heart sings. I'm grateful for the man who gave no half measure, who knew his work and left me feeling like his treasure. The kind of encounter that comes once in a lifetime, and I appreciate that once you were mine. Please tell me you were talking about your husband.
I out of respect for anyone, anyone that I've been entangled with, because entangled in the title alone should tell you it wasn't my husband.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Oh wow, folks, this book, because I don't know if you get 2 for what she gave me 2, right? But I'm telling you, Entangled Ode to a Lover will awaken your fire.
And I kept it clean because I actually felt embraced, and I thought, no, I can't, because if my pastor gets hold of it, I can't be too explicit. So that's the clean version.
No, it left something for the mind to desire. It I had the right word that oh God, when you want to be enticed, you let my mind work. You didn't put it down and say, here's what I'm giving you. You actually let my mind wander, be imaginative, put me in a place that I'm thinking, oh wow. At the same time, be nosy, but oh wow. And I loved it. I mean, as I said, I'm warmed with the memories. My armpits tingle, my body quivers, my womb starts to flow chakra rivers. The D, thank you for raising the throne. If only I could welcome you into my home. You came at the right place and at the right time, and I thank you for peace in my soul, body, and mind. Yo, people, don't laugh, Debbie, because I wish I wrote that. I wish I wrote that, right? I could sing it, but I wish I wrote it. Folks, I am not lying. If you want something to actually read, we're in quarantine again. If you've missed someone, or you want to get on the phone and start to the dirty texting, how about read some poetry to your loved one over the phone? How about getting this book? Because this is what I found was really enticing. I'm not trying to plug it for you. I've now told you. You asked me what
I need to make money too. Of course, plug it.
You asked me to read them, and I did with pleasure. Actually, you didn't ask me. I asked you for the book. I said, "Can I have one?" And I put my hand in my pocket, and I bought it. It was money well spent. It was money well spent. What I'm saying to the general public is this: support Debbie, support what she's doing. Now that I've told you what I think of your book, it accentuates, it's sensual. At the set, as I said, it doesn't go over the top. It's not smutty. It's like going back to the old Mills and Boone. You're being rude, listen to a woman being rude without having to say, well, John, you touched my very bone and you made my back tingle and glistened. And as the waterfall, that it was that, but without all of what I just said. So if anyone wants to go back to the days where you read a good book, this is it. A good poetry that will awaken. I don't care what menopausal, you start to lose your libido, that will help you wake up their libido. I'm sorry. I'm just telling you as it is. Now that
they're asking in the chat where they can get the book. If you text me, yeah. I will get the limited edition, because the Amazon version is not as colorful. It hasn't got as many pictures. Let me tell you about authenticity. Yeah, those aren't cartoons. They are original pictures which I've just made into cartoons. But that's my son taking the knee, and on the Entangled, those are my high heels. That's the hotel room.
Yeah. There's this one, I don't know if anyone can see it. There's this one where you've got it's like 2 champagne glasses, and that's the bit where I was I'm warm with the memories. And I looked at that, and it's like you're showing the memory of that night or that day, wherever you were. Yeah. And that's what brought the words out.
Everyone knows me. They know that I'm always taking pictures. So be careful, guys. Be my friend forever, because I take pictures.
And look at this one. This is a lovely one where it's like you could, I don't know, that looks like you went to a quaint hotel and you took that photo because that's an amazing bath. I love baths like that. Please tell me that's the bath in your house. Photo with your heels up, and this one is humming in the bathroom. I don't even want to wash off your scent. It's liquid gold.
No, they've got to buy it. They got no.
Okay. You see, that's as far as I'm allowed to go, folks, because as I said, I could read this out forever, and it's really, really good. Tell me this while we're at that. Now that I've told you how I felt, why the Entangled ode to my lover? Why now?
A weight has been lifted off my shoulder. I've still got baggage like everybody, and I think we're all have baggage. You can't offload everything, but of weight has been lifted off my shoulder. I feel empowered that I've instigated and facilitated successful anti-racism rallies, and I've heard other people's traumas, and I've adapted the scenario in that it's not just Black lives, it's just anger. It's protest, get your anger out, learn a little bit. Look, this is me with my bits of cardboard, because I don't see why I should pay £700 for notice boards. I don't know if you can see.
Yeah.
We're going the right way.
Yeah.
And this is what and people have criticized them. Why don't you get proper stuff? Well, it's also funding as well, and getting refunded on time and stuff like that. But the point is, knowledge is there. The knowledge, if you just read the bit of paper, it doesn't matter what the paper is stuck on, whether it's titanium or wood or cardboard or plastic. The message is there that tells you about Christopher Older, former British Army paratrooper who was dying, and other humans were around him laughing. There's stuff here telling you about Roman Emperor, the land of Kush. There's so many ways of imparting knowledge and supporting each other, because it's traumatic for us. But if we talk about white fragility or entitlement, if history continues to be taught the way it was taught, is being taught, then nobody will learn. There's got to be kind of like a level playing field. Okay, Henry VIII may well have conquered wherever, but the other story is, and he brutalized and raped and whatever. Give the full story, and also black achievement as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So now you've also got another third poetry book in the making. I think
this is the first one.
Sorry,
this is the first one, but this one has too much trauma for me. There's too much trauma. This is why I write the way I write. It is still trauma for me, and I haven't been ready to share this piece. I've had to really go through it, and it's very personal. It's embarrassing, because when people think, oh, you're a manager, you couldn't have been going through these. As they say, the higher you climb, the lonelier it gets, and it's hard. It is hard to talk your truth, because everybody's going through something at work. I think I posted on Facebook about Greg gave 10 years to this airline act, or he caught the COVID at work, was in for how many months, and then let from his job, no idea about his pension and whatnot. And he won't speak to, even though I've signposted him to the MP, emailed on his behalf, he's not in a place to have a meeting without me being there. And so I've got to find the strength now to be, his advocate. And it's emotionally draining when it's not just one person. It's at every event that we have, you meet somebody that's going through something, whether it's people putting stuff through letterbox, or someone being followed around at the supermarket and not getting an apology, but rudeness. There's so much injustice going on.
But what before I come to the end of this all, what I want to know, how do you manage to, because you absorb a lot of what injustices that goes on. Where do you stop and put that down and hold on to your own sanity? Because
when I'm doing my yoga, or my pole dancing or surfing or whatever, when I'm cooking, when I'm dancing, I'm more aware these days of trying to get a balance. And it's not unusual that I switch my phone off. I never used to switch my phone off, but now if something is too much, I feel overwhelmed, I turn my phone off, and then I have my quiet time. I let my family know that I'm turning the phone off so that they're not worried. And then I just turn my phone off and just go back to the here and now and enjoying my space.
I love that. And as Debbie said, there's so much more. Look, I know that you're moving it through the body. I love that. Ange Pantel said you're moving it through the body. You have shared beautifully today. Would you believe you're not the only one? Someone's ringing off my phone now, right? You have shared beautifully today. I hope that your story and your message. Okay, I shouldn't still. It's my turn. When Debbie was earlier, she went on the phone. What? Look at me now, as if. But I'm just finishing up, and we'll be logging and signing out. I'll be coming downstairs. It's my turn. Right. you have been, what's the word I'm looking for? Graceful, truthful, candid, just beautiful is what I want to say to you today.
Thank you.
No, I'm being serious, because it's that you didn't put on any airs and graces. You told your story. You told the truth. You didn't badmouth anybody. You actually just
Hold
no,
on a
no,
minute.
you don't. No, you're not. No, there's no bad mountain today. No, today's positive, positive show.
What I will say is that we're going to be seeing change in the borough that I live in.
Okay.
As soon as I joined the various forums, I said, if the person to your left or to your right is not different to you, then you are not being part of the change that we need to see. It's all well and good having our own forums and whatnot, but everybody has to. I've been to Poland, been to Morocco, and I'm trying to go to different places, you know, so that I can learn, and I'm encouraging anyone I meet to do the same. So I'm back to politically what we're going to be doing. There's going to be a race forum. I've been encouraging diversity training. They asked me to host Black History Month. I brought in some anti-racist trainers. I thought I'm not going to have the platform at any other time. So this is what I want to leave people with. When you're given an opportunity to make a change, use it.
Thank you to everyone in the chat room that said words to Debbie. She's, oh God, please don't freeze. Yeah, she's frozen. Oh, she's still there. Thank you. Yeah. No, it's fine. She's back.
Is there any questions?
No, when move it. So inspiring. Thank you for sharing your story. Someone says we've both got such beautiful energy, and that's what I was trying to say to you, Debbie. That's what you have. You brought beautiful, and the message that you've just given out right now. What I'm going to do is, because when this finish ends, I will be putting up everything, all this information. Your book will go onto the website, and people can then go onto it and pick up what they need, where they can buy the book, everything. And I think that's why I said someone was tapping me to say my time is now up.
Is it your time's up? Okay.
Keep the
wind rush. Wind rush. They'll hang me if I don't mention them.
We do. Go ahead.
I want to thank my fellow politicians for putting the motion through. Let's pay them, stop the deportation, shut down Home Office. They need a period of profound reflection, I believe the lessons learned report said. So keep up coming to the rallies, people. Thank you so much.
He says lots of love to you, and blessings. Thank you, Alison. Alison was still there. We want to say thank you again, thank you again, thank you again, Debbie. Thank you again.
Thank you for joining me.
No, it was my absolute pleasure. And to everyone in the chat room, to anyone who does watch this, the replay after is Debbie. This is Debbie Allen. Please go out and buy her book. You can get them on Amazon. The first one is called Entangled Ode to My Lover, and Please Take the Knee Unfinished. No one's rushing me to get off here. My time ain't up. I'm still publishing it. God bless everybody out there. Please stay safe. Stay in love. Stay well. God bless you all. Good night.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome, my darling. Good night.